First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WTF News First at 5. I'm Allison Williams.
And I'm Camila Pereira. Thanks for joining us.
Mid-April weather can be wild in Gainesville, and we're expecting another cool start tomorrow.
April 19th brought a record low of 34 degrees in 2001, and 10 years later hit a record high of 94. WUFT's Derrah tells us what to expect for this April 19th. Derrah?
Well, it's not going to get quite as cold and as hot as these records we set over 10 years ago, but outside on your campus cams, we're seeing some really dry conditions as those northeasterly winds bring in that dry air. We're sitting in the low 80s right now, and winds are moving in at about 11 miles per hour here in Gainesville, and on average 10 miles per hour across North Florida. We are going to cool down into the 50s tonight, so it's not going to get quite into the 30s where that record was at, and I'll have more on what you can expect tomorrow coming up.
Gainesville Police Department says the #1 complaint among residents is noise. In the past month, GPD has received 360 noise complaints, but Lieutenant Lisa Scott says they only respond to complaints where there may be criminal activity, like an open house party or underage drinking. UF student Nicholas Anthony says he and his girlfriend made a noise complaint on the MyGNV app after two 19-year-old girls moved in next door and threw loud parties every weekend.
We weren't the only ones complaining, so the girls actually came over and apologized to us and I believe our other neighbors.
However, other residents
who have made noise complaints to GPD have had less successes, with neighbors continuing to play loud music after receiving a verbal warning from officers, and others even having trash on their patios and cars broken into. Now, 2 people are currently hospitalized after a nasty car crash on West University Avenue and Northwest 24th Street yesterday evening. According to witnesses, a red Ford F-150 truck lost control and swerved into a red Nissan Altima. The car went through a metal railing and it landed partially on the front yard of a nearby home. The driver of the Nissan, who is described as a male in his mid to late 20s, was trapped in the vehicle and had to be removed using the jaws of life. Following the crash, witnesses said the man was breathing and able to speak. The driver of the Ford truck, a woman in her early to mid-60s, complained of having a headache after the accident. There are currently no further details on the injuries of both drivers.
The University of Florida has removed nearly 8 years' worth of campus crime data online without public notice, posing risks to incoming students, parents, faculty, and alumni who are not aware of UF's campus safety history.
Since last year, UF's crime log only shows crimes that occurred on or near campus within the past 60 days. Previously, it listed crimes dating back to 2016, making UF the most transparent on student safety among all colleges and universities across Florida.
UF says the change came in an effort to ensure the information displayed is accurate and current, and to align with federal law, which only requires universities to keep details updated for crimes up to 60 days. UF says upon making a request, it will provide anyone a copy of the entire crime data for free within 2 business days. But 2 undergraduate students at the College of Journalism and Communications took to launch a website that restores access to all of the university's crime data and further enhancing it. UF had no involvement in the production of this report. For more information on these 3 stories, you can visit wuft.org. Florida's next execution is set for May 3rd, despite a flurry of legal action on behalf of death row inmate Darryl Barwick. A jury convicted Barwick of the 1986 murder of a 24-year-old Panama City woman, Rebecca Went. Her killer stalked her from her apartment complex pool, broke into her apartment, and stabbed her 37 times. In 1987, a jury voted 9-3 to recommend the death penalty. Barwick won a retrial in 1992, only to get a unanimous jury vote. Today, a federal judge rejected Barwick's appeal that his 2021 clemency hearing was unfair. His lawyers are now asking the Florida Supreme Court to block the execution based on his cognitive impairments.
And another bill in Florida legislators currently causing tensions between lawmakers and environmentalists. House Bill 1191 would allow the Florida Department of Transportation to use phosphogypsum in road construction. Phosphogypsum is a mildly radioactive fertilizer waste and was banned by the Environmental Protection Agency. Environmentalists are fighting this bill due to the chemical's potential impact on aquifers, possible soil contamination, and it emits radon into the air. Mining and fertilizer group Mosaic Incorporated is advocating for its use by pointing to countries in Europe, Asia, and South America who currently use the chemical safely. The bill was approved by the House Infrastructure Strategies Committee on Monday. For more information, visit WUFT.org.
It seems like parks throughout Gainesville have been receiving some renovations lately. The next park to be receiving a makeover is Veterans Memorial Park. WUFT's Tyler Carmona went down there earlier today.
I'm here in Southwest Gainesville at Veterans Memorial Park, which will be receiving up to $2 million in upgrades from the county. Now these upgrades are going to the parking lot as well as the playground. Veterans Memorial Park serves a wide variety of residents, from parents taking their kids to the playground to adults just looking for exercise. Some feel the park brings together people from all walks of life.
It's real friendly. I actually gained some good connections out here, people I still talk to.
Really?
So yeah, it's nice out here.
Throughout my time at the park, I received nothing but positive reviews by those who frequent it. However, when presented by the idea of a $2 million upgrade, it sparked a few ideas.
Can upgrade the basketball court, redo the park and a small park a little bit.
They got a volleyball net there. I see basketball, baseball, soccer, maybe a football field.
Nearly half of these funds have been allocated towards remodeling the playground. The project will primarily be funded by the voter-approved Wild Spaces in Public Places surtax. Additional funding will be provided by the Rotary Clubs of Gainesville and the Duke Energy Corporation. County Projects Coordinator Ed Williams believes these changes are beneficial.
The new playground will be over here behind me, and the goal would be that we could do this work and still leave the existing playground, undisturbed until the very last minute. And then when this one's ready to go, this one will go away.
Construction is expected to kick off this summer, but an exact date hasn't been identified for now. Locals are free to enjoy the park. Now, despite all the construction going on, the park won't be closing. Now, construction is expected to end on September 30th. I'm Tyler Carmona for WFT News.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. A series of shootings has shaken the nation to its core and launched social justice movements across the country. In Kansas City, an 84-year-old homeowner is in custody tonight after allegedly shooting a teenager in the head late last week. Family members say 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was supposed to be picking up his younger twin brothers, but went to the wrong address a block away and was gunned down just after ringing the doorbell. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest on Yarl's condition and the ongoing investigation.
Waves of support spilling into the street in Kansas City, Missouri. More than 1,000 students walking out of Staley High School with a resounding message for a classmate. We love you, Ralph! We love you, Ralph! Ralph is Ralph Yarl, the 16-year-old shot in the head and arm last week when his family says he went to the wrong address to pick up his younger brothers, and a man allegedly opened the front door, shouted, "Don't come back around here," then opened fire.
What are we doing in America when a young black person can't even ring the doorbell without being profiled as a criminal?
Initially questioned by police, the homeowner, Andrew Lester, reportedly said he was scared to death, citing Ralph's size and his own age. After first being released, Lester is now in custody, facing charges of first-degree assault and armed criminal action. The Class A assault brings with it the possibility of a life sentence if found guilty.
As the prosecutor of Clay County, I can tell you there was a racial component to the case.
With frustration and outrage growing in his community, remarkably, Yarl is already back at home.
As of right now, I can tell you that Ralph is healing. We're just taking it one day at a time and taking it as it comes.
Family members saying, like so many in his community, Yarl is struggling with thoughts of what happened. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Upstate New York is continuing to mourn the loss of Kaylin Gillis. Authorities say Gillis was operating a car looking for a friend's house when she accidentally entered the driveway of 65-year-old Kevin Monahan. Monahan proceeded to open fire on Gillis's car before she had a chance to react. Gillis was struck and tragically succumbed to her wounds.
They were turning around, as I said, leaving, so there certainly was no threat. So, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get a successful prosecution in this case, and that justice is served for the Gillis family and for Kaylin.
A GoFundMe page was launched yesterday to help the Gillis family with funeral costs and other expenses. Kaylin Gillis was only 20 years old. 4 people were killed and 32 others were injured in a shooting at a birthday party in an Alabama dance studio Saturday night. While no suspect was named in the case, investigators were able to trace the murder weapon used in the attack through shell casings. They can confirm no high-power rifle ammunition was at the scene, but found casings reminiscent of those used in handguns. As the investigation prolongs, no information has been disclosed in regards to the motive behind this horrific attack. State police say they wish to be confident in what they provide before any information is given out.
The Supreme Court has decided to proceed in letting the U.S. Department of Education deliver $6 billion in student loan forgiveness to defrauded students. The settlement comes after borrowers claim certain loans were misrepresentations made by their school, therefore should be canceled. In an attempt from involved colleagues to challenge the settlement was rejected by the Supreme Court. Those eligible for a piece of the prize must have filed a borrower defense application before June 22, 2022. The government has already begun stages to implement the settlement.
Felt a little cool outside when I was walking to campus earlier this morning.
It did, but I have a feeling we're not going to be dealing with that much longer, right, Derrah?
Well, it is going to be a little bit chilly tomorrow morning, but temperatures are going to be back approaching the 90s this week. I'll have more coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Lots of dry air moving in place over our area ahead of that cold front that we have approaching later this week, and that's reflected in our skies outside. Not a cloud in sight. It feels like 79 out, and you can see that area of high pressure keeping those clouds away this evening. It's going to continue to feel breezy with that northeast wind moving in overnight and mostly clear skies. We are going to be cooling down. 40s to the north of Gainesville, 50 here in Gainesville, and approaching the mid-50s near central Florida. Now tomorrow it's going to feel even warmer than it did today. Today wasn't terribly hot, but our daytime high tomorrow will be 85 and 80s across North Florida, nearing a 90 in High Springs and in Central Florida, with that sea breeze having things feeling a bit cooler in St. Augustine. The pollen levels this week are also pretty high, especially on Thursday, so you will feel it. There is a 30% chance of rain on Saturday, and it's Earth Day. We're approaching 90 degrees that day, and after that cold front moves through over the weekend, we'll see temperatures back in the upper 70s next week. Back to you.
The Gator baseball team has a game tonight against an in-state rival.
Yeah, and it should be a good match. Coming up, WUFT's Taylor Burr will have more on sports after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Taylor Burr. We are just a month away before the NCAA tournament begins, and the Gator baseball team is looking forward to get back to Omaha. UF is currently ranked 3rd in the nation, riding a 30-7 record for the season. Florida clinched a series win against Georgia over the weekend and looks to get another win tonight against Florida A&M. WUFT's Talia Baia is at the game to tell you more about the matchup.
I'm Talia Baia reporting live from the Condron Family Ballpark. The number 3 Gators are about to take on Florida A&M in T-minus 30 minutes, and it's the only time they're meeting this year. After taking the series win over the Georgia Bulldogs over the weekend, the team is now 30-7 in the season and 11-4 in conference play. Now, let me tell you about the scoop on the mound today. Pitching first for the Gators is Yoel Tejeda Jr., and starting for the Rattlers is Jared Townsend. One thing to note is that both starting pitchers don't have a win. The Gators will be without pitcher Brandon Neely after he was ejected on Sunday for celebrating an ending inning strikeout. Considering Neely could be missing Florida's upcoming series against number 6 South Carolina, fans are not happy. You can catch the game at 6 p.m. I'm Talia Baia reporting for WFT News. Back to Taylor.
Thanks, Talia. A pair of Florida softball rivals meet up tomorrow night as the Gators host USF, and all eyes will be on star hitter Skylar Wallace. The lefty has left it all in the diamond this season, hitting 13 home runs out of the ballpark. In her last matchup against Georgia, Wallace produced a career-high 4 hits, 7 RBIs, and 3 home runs. The 3 homers marks her first multi-run game of her career and ties the UF single-game record for home runs. Tomorrow, Wallace will get another chance to add to this historic run. The Gators play the Bulls in a doubleheader starting at 6 p.m. Moving to the links, the UF men's golf team gets ready to compete at the SEC Championship. The Gators have been dialed in all season with 4 overall wins and 6 top 5 finishes. Florida ranks 9th in the nation going into tomorrow's tournament. And as always, the SEC is stacked with several of the best golf programs in the country. Currently, 7 SEC schools are ranked in the top 25, including number 1 ranked Vanderbilt. The Commodores will be playing for a three-peat, trying to become the first team to win 3 straight SEC championships. The Gators' John Dubois will also be attempting to be UF's first ever back-to-back winner of the SEC Individual Championship. The Windermere, Florida native shocked the conference, winning 1 year ago. Tee times in Georgia start at 8 a.m. tomorrow. It was only 4 months ago that Bills safety Damar Hamlin's injury shocked the sports world. He went into cardiac arrest as NFL fans held their breath and prayed he would be okay. Today, it was announced that Hamlin is officially cleared to return to football. The safety has been participating in voluntary off-season workouts this week.
And before we go, one last check on the weather. Derrah, what can we expect tonight? What the skies look like?
Well, tomorrow morning you'll be waking up to temperatures in the 50s. It's going to be mostly clear and pretty chilly, so you might need a jacket in the morning time. Temperatures the rest of this week are going to climb near 90 degrees, 89 on Saturday, and after that cold front moves through, upper 70s next week. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Derrah, and this concludes our last Tuesday show of the semester. It's been a pleasure working with all of you.
It sure has been. Taylor, Allison, and are all graduating in 2 weeks.
It's definitely been a bittersweet feeling, but I'm very grateful for my time here at UF.
We want to thank the audience for tuning in and watching us grow this semester.
Have a good night.